Before we get started, we wanted to thank Matchstick Golf for being our first title sponsor. Matchstick is a custom designer of ball markers based in Portland, Oregon, that was born out of its founder getting sick and tired of trying to find cool ball markers that weren't huge, heavy poker chips that didn't cost $300 on eBay. Matchstick's markers include the one-eyed alligator from Happy Gilmore, a stack of cash that will have you putting for dough. Right now, Matchstick is offering 15% off your first order at matchstickgolf.com with the code MuniciPals. So head on over to matchstickgolf.com, enter MuniciPals at checkout, tell them Big C in Ashton sent you.
How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, MuniciPals? This is Big C and Ashton. We got a special guest here today, our friend Paddy. We will let him do the intro. But first, Ashton, how you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm good. Finally kind of back in the swing of things. Feel like I have a routine after the holidays. Getting out, doing a little exercise, eating a little bit better, and actually playing a little bit of golf, which is really nice. So no complaints here. The weather in San Francisco has been amazing. Last weekend, it was in the 80s. Even today, it's been a little bit chilly, but I mean, just now being outside, it's kind of, I think as Andy said on the Shotgun Start or on his Instagram, it's both fake winter and fake summer, and I love it. The weather has put me in a really.
It's just fall year round.
Pretty much, yeah. It's shorts and a long sleeve shirt, so things are good. Getting prepped for the Battle of California, right? To whoop some SoCal ass, but it's kind of in the lab, making sure that I don't go out there and embarrass myself. Because if I hang up a big number, I will hear about it from a bunch of guys I've never met. So trying to make sure that does not happen.
Well, all I'm gonna say is all I've seen is videos of them hitting bombs, quotation marks. I just sent a video over to Zach with Northwest Golf Guys, Bay Area Golf Guys, and of me just hitting 10-footer after 10-footer. So, they can hit bombs all day, but we'll see how they can putt. So short game is where you keep the score low. So we'll see what happens down there. I'm really excited to get out there and play.
Yes, sir. But now on to our privileged guest. Mai is in the Bay Area. My captain, my captain, Paddy. Paddy, how you doing?
Greetings, gentlemen. Thank you for the invite. This is an honor and a privilege to jump on with you guys.
Yeah, well, we talk about so many courses, and then, I think we talk about the Central Valley, and for me, at least, I'm like, I don't even necessarily know what the Central Valley is, much less the golf scene. So really excited to bring on an expert who kind of knows and can, we've heard from listeners sometimes who are looking to go play. And I think being able to give them 5-6 options of like, hey, this is going to be, like we say, good greens, good pace, interesting course. Excited to kind of tap your insights for sure.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. Chris, take us away.
Yeah. So first, Paddy, let's have you kind of start. I know you run a group in the Bay Area or in Northern California. Kind of give us a little bit of background of kind of what started you in golf, who started you in golf, and kind of where you're at now with the group and things like that.
Yeah. So I'm 40 years old, turned a big 40 this year, and I've pretty much had a club in my hands my whole life. I grew up around the game. My dad is was and still is a very sort of accomplished amateur golfer here in Northern California. Spends half the year down in the desert, down in the Palm Springs area, and half the year up here. So he kind of splits his time there, but just kind of grew up around the game, grew up caddying for him and sort of in that arena of competitive golf, and kind of knew when I was about 11 or 12 that I wanted to play college golf, and kind of quit baseball and soccer to focus on that, and ended up playing for a little D2 school in Turlock, California, right here on the Highway 99, just south of me in Modesto, called Stanislaus State. And we had a good team. We had a good team in the 80s and in the 90s, and a good team while I was there. And I, just sort of, as is the case with a lot of college golfers, kind of got lost in the shuffle. Thought I could just sort of waltz in and walk right on and have some success. And there's like a lot of good players, and there's a lot of good players at the D2 level. And we had guys from all over the country that played on our team, and it was a real eye opener, and it was a very humbling experience. Graduated and kind of hung around the Central Valley and the Modesto area, got into banking and did that for 15 years, and kind of continued to play competitive golf and play NCGA stuff and play amateur stuff and try to qualify for USGA events. I'm 0 for 4 in USGA qualifier playoffs, which is sort of my it's my one goal is to make a USGA event. So one day, hopefully. So and that's obviously led into a lot of great relationships through the game, and a byproduct of that is the Royal and Ancient Company of Dishonorable Golfers, the RACDG. And we are the NorCal chapter of the Royal and Ancient Company. And sort of was born on the No Lane Up message board, the Refuge. That was kind of the community that it was born in. And I don't know, probably 10 or 12 chapters kind of jumped out three years ago. And NorCal's got a chapter, SoCal's got a chapter. There's a couple chapters overseas, and kind of looking to grow it. And we're up to 75 members or so, and have some events and some local meetups and some bigger events and some qualifying events to go to some bigger No Lane Up things later in the year. So it's exciting, and it's been great. So. And I think Ashton is officially a member and joined us for an event in January, right, Ashton? The Foggy Trolley. You were there in Stockton?
I did. Yeah, at the lovely Spanos Park.
That's right.
And then, I'm competing in the year-long match play event. And yeah, it's been great. I mean, I feel like brand new to it, but I think what's so great is I've said a lot about the kind of our online communities is, when I showed up at Spanos, everyone made me feel really comfortable, and it's just such a different vibe. Like, one thing we talked about at the origins of this podcast is, I want to play a lot of golf, but I'm okay to kind of just pop in and be a single. But I think so much in my life when I've done that, you just get paired with somebody where it's like, oh man, this is going to be like, on a good day 4, on a bad day 5 of someone who, the way they want to play golf, consume golf is very different from me. And it just was really refreshing to show up at Spanos Park and be like, yeah, it's a bunch of sickos like me who want to be out here. And again, we've only been doing this for a couple months, but cannot wait to kind of keep playing and competing and meeting people. It's already been awesome, and just a tip of the cap, because we're doing just planning stuff for the podcast. Excuse me. I know it can be tough, but I know having 75 people asking you questions all the time about what's this, have I paid for this? I know that's a lot of work for you, and we very much appreciate it.
Oh, well, thanks. It's fun to do. It's a good hobby, and I've always kind of not been enamored, but the old golf societies, whether it's in Scotland or Ireland or the ones kind of on the East Coast here, and you've seen them sort of repop back up over the last decade, whether it's like the Outpost Club or the Silver Club Golfing Society, some of these sort of golf societies in the same vein as the old ones. And I love that. I love just getting together a group of golfers that don't have a true physical home, right? Like a true physical golf course that they can go to. And so what does that end up being? It ends up being us traveling or going to different golf courses and going to a lot of public golf courses. Majority of where we play is our public golf courses. And, we try to champion that, and Pasta Tampa is sort of our, and we have a real big event. That's our championship match for our match play, year-long match play competition. And it's been great.
Yeah. And then outside of that, I know, Paddy, this year you said from following you on social media, I've not talked to you about this personally yet, but I think you quit banking to kind of start your own foray in the golf industry. Is that correct?
Yeah. I took me 15 years to realize I think sitting behind a desk isn't really kind of where I'm best suited. And so we're going to, kind of get into the golf coaching arena. I know that's a kind of a crowded, a little bit of a crowded space, but it's great. And it's great to learn from a lot of the other teachers and coaches online, but I think I can kind of bring a little bit of a unique viewpoint to it, just being around competitive golf and have been sort of inside the ropes as a caddy and in some big events and playing in some amateur events here on the sort of the West Coast. Helping golfers kind of develop a holistic approach to, Ashton, I know you said like the mid-am is like your goal, right? Whether that's, I think you mentioned like this year you want to get your handicap to the level to be able to play in the qualifier, and then next year actually do the qualifier, right? So that's like, you're like my perfect client, right? Or my perfect prospect. We have a set goal. We have sort of a long timeline to approach that goal. And how do we go about that? It's going to be nutrition. It's going to be fitness. It's going to be mental fitness, physical fitness, obviously working with, your swing coach. I'm not real big into the swing mechanics. I can sort of eyeball stuff, but that's not really my space. So, sort of making you a better golfer with everything outside of the swing mechanics is kind of what we're doing. And it's called Pink Spider Golf Performance, and sort of named after some family members of mine, kind of their nicknames, some golfer family members of mine. My dad's got a nickname named Pinky, and my grandpa's nickname was Spider growing up, and they both kind of, obviously my dad's a big golfer, my grandpa's a big golfer, so pay homage to them with that name. And yeah, anybody looking to get better this year, slide into the DMs.
Yeah, kind of speaking on that, I'm a 6-year high school coach, and absolutely probably one of the best things I've ever done is coach high school golf. And one thing that I kind of did on the side was I did tournament prep and short game coaching for a lot of 18 and under kids and some adults as well. But I think one thing that lacks in golf coaching is on-course management. And I think that's one thing. You can go and see a swing coach, you can get yourself dialed in, but if you don't know what the fuck you're doing on the golf course and you don't know how to manage your expectations throughout your round, that's a huge thing in a big thing most people, don't value when they're starting out playing, or if they're trying to get competitive, something like Ashton's doing with chasing the mid-am, both of us going in and chasing the mid-am. Course management is massive. And I think that's a left out thing in the coaching industry, where people really rely on their coaches to get their swings dialed in, but nobody really goes to see somebody like yourself for the fitness side, for the mental side, for the course management side. That's a huge thing I think that's lacking.
Yeah, I think there's kind of like two levels, right? You talk about graduating from the driving range to the golf course, like and getting comfortable out there and kind of developing your course management style, if you will. Because I think we all kind of have a style, right? Like I think I'm more on the conservative side, kind of plod my way around the golf course. And then the next level that you step up from is going from your course management on the course to like how do you react under tournament conditions or tournament pressure, or when you're in a competition, whether it's a one-on-one match or money game with your buddies for $100, when you're really kind of feeling that pinch of nerves, how do you react? And that takes time. That's not a 1 lesson or 2 lesson thing. And so that's kind of the idea is set a goal a ways out and then work to get there, and hopefully play tournaments before you get to that one end goal. And so you can sort of figure out how you react under pressure and tweak that a little bit, or know what to expect the next time out.
Yeah, I think that's one huge thing. We talk about it all the time. And I think that's people, as a guy that fits golf clubs, people invest a lot of money in their equipment. And there's actually customers that come in that I try to fit, things aren't working out, their swing's not there, and I tell them all the time, I said, hey, I would rather you spend money on a golf coach than buying new equipment, because new equipment's not going to get you to the place you need to be. The importance on learning your mechanics and learning the things out on the course are going to get them further than selling them $4,000 worth of equipment. And we talk about that, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to blow you up, Producer Jack, but we tell Producer Jack all the time, he is an equipment junkie. He loves to fiddle with his shit. I mean, it's like probably his favorite thing in the world is to buy new equipment. But we harp on him constantly that the money he spends on equipment could be better used by getting somebody like you, getting somebody like Brad Merrick, who Ashton's seeing, that can really help him with all of those other things that go along with golf. Because Jack, we say it like we went on this trip in Las Vegas about 2 months ago almost at this point. And Jack was hitting his driver better than I've ever seen him hit his driver. And then 3 weeks later, Ashton sees him and he has an entire new driver setup.
Don't we all have a buddy like that? I mean, or we all have a guy in our group that is like the serial tinker that's like, homie, you just had 27 putts last weekend with your Odyssey, and now you're out here with some Titleist, that you got off eBay because it was some steal. And why would you switch? Well, I don't know. It just felt right. It's like, well, stop. Just like, let's take a 20-second timeout and stop tinkering. I've always been one, like, find something and stick with it. Right. So like Producer Jack and I are on the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to like the tinkering scale. So
that's where maybe he needs a Paddy. Because also too, from a skill set perspective, I said, hey, Paddy, this guy is coming to you and he hits it 305 yards off the tee. Are you interested in that? Like nice and straight? You'd be like, we're starting from a good place. Because that's what it was. His old driver setup, he was just hitting 300-yard draws. And it was like, I don't say that, I know, Jack, you're listening to this is weird, even though it's not live. It was the most impressive driving display I've ever seen.
It really was.
Over a 3-day stretch. Just bombs. Granted, then, of course, get it by the green, and it was a little bit of a tough scene. But if I said, hey, this guy's going to come to you with hitting 300-yard bombs, can I interest you in that? You'd probably say, yes, that's a good starting point. Let's say he can get off of the tee, right?
But it just wasn't good. And that just 305 right down the middle.
The TSI 4 with the hazardous red. The hazardous red is so good. He literally took an ASMR video going up and down the shaft of the – oh, God, up and down the shaft. Okay, Spotify is going to edit us out. It's a golf shaft, Spotify, not anything else. But and hazardous red is a golf shaft, not a name for something.
But he calls it the hazardous purple because he tipped it to where it plays in between a red and a blue Ventus shaft. And it's just like...
That's some big brain shit.
Yeah, and me and him battle because I'm in the equipment space. I'm a master fitter for Club Champion. I mean, I live, eat, and breathe, equipment. I'm on staff here with Strixon. Like, I love equipment. And me and Jack go at it sometimes because he loves his blogs and I love my
forum friends.
Real education from the manufacturers. So it's a fun one between us, and it's a friendly battle. But it's those guys like Jack. I sometimes want to grab him and shake him and just like take his wallet from him and just like pay you and pay Brad to see him for him so that he can go see you guys, because Jack is hovering probably at a 9-10 handicap. If he saw somebody like you, the guy would easily be a 4. Like he has the game.
And he's also been playing golf for 3 years. Like he's super new to the game,
and he's
super like moldable. Like he's just raw, and moldable.
We'll take that.
No,
back.
I'd say the problem is not moldable at all.
No, that's the thing. Jack needs to be more flexible in that.
He needs you to break him into 1,000 pieces.
Yes. You'll have to shatter him and then build him back up.
He's like Will Hunting. He's like Will Hunting.
Oh my God! Goodwill Hunting recast as Paddy.
when he
Golf
slices
version.
one OB, and I grab him by the face, and he's sobbing, and I say, "It's
You bought an Autoflex?
it's not
You
your
bought an
fault."
Autoflex? PXG head with an Autoflex.
It would be very much like Tin Cup, you being his caddy in Tin Cup and him just hitting 4 balls into the water and you just shaking your head and throwing your hands up.
That sounds like it's probably a more apt comparison. Like he's just going to keep dropping the ball. Like he's just not going to go take the drop. He's going to,
And we love Jack. And I'm telling you, for a guy that's only been playing 3 years, his game is really good. It's just
he hits the shit out of the golf ball.
He's like 5'9". Like, I mean, not a big dude, and just destroy. I mean, he outdrives me by 30 yards. Like, it's not even close. And
he's going to yell at you. On the golf trip, it was like 100 yards because Chris is hitting poof daddy drivers.
I was not playing a proper driver setup. I took my demo off the wall and had to go play with it because my new driver didn't come in yet.
He was hitting 7 woods into par 4s, and that was not the
It was a bad look.
Style. It was like
it was a bad look for a guy that does golf equipment. It was not a good look. But yeah, Jack was out driving me by a ton. But then we got within 160 yards and we were about neck and neck. So it's just, it's if the guy could come see you, it would be a dramatic change.
Listen, Jack, pinkspidergolfperformance.com, pay a visit, reach out, partner. Let's get you down to that 4 or 5 level. We'll get you there in no time.
Jack, we love you, Jack. Thank you for editing.
Your friends are just looking out for you, Jack.
Hey, we just want you to get into that 4 or 5 and be able to be a little bit more competitive. You're on your route, but let's take our advice, please. All right, well, this isn't a roasting Jack episode.
Sorry.
But let's talk Central California golf. So I think that's like one area that we really have kind of left out, and I think both of Ashton's only been to Californian for a short time. So he's only ventured past NorCal because I've forced him to. And now he's got his buddy Nick down in San Diego that's getting him down there to play. But he, both of us kind of just drive down I-5 blindly, don't look either way. And we really haven't ventured into the Central California spectrum. So I would love to hear your take on Central California because as we talked a little bit, before, Dragonfly is really my only venture into Central California. But I know there's a lot of other great golf out there.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of good golf and such as, you guys have talked about in other pods in the Bay Area, we've lost a few too. Some really good ones, unfortunately, but yeah, the Highway 99, that I-5 corridor kind of shooting down from Sacramento down to Bakersfield. That's kind of what I consider the Central Valley. I haven't played any golf really south of Fresno. I've played a fair amount in Fresno. And so basically from Sac to Fresno, that little corridor there, I'm pretty familiar with. If we were going to start up in Sacramento and kind of go, well, let me back up and kind of go macro here on the Central. When you talk about the Bay Area, whether it's the South Bay or the East Bay or San Francisco or Monterey, the greens fees that we're talking about are going to be lower here in the Central Valley. They're just, I think on the whole there, it's just going to be, you're going to have a lot of your sort of $30, $40, $50 green fee levels. And, you kind of pay what you get for these. What you're going to get in the Central Valley is you're going to get a lot of sort of parkland golf. You're going to get a lot of tree lined, shape your shots, small greens, small circular greens. A lot of the courses that were built in the 40s and the 50s in the Central Valley, and there was a lot, were built by Jack Fleming, who built the Golden Gate Par 3. And so you're going to have a lot of those like small saucer play greens with like the bunker left and the bunker right. So is it the most like exciting architecture? No. But what you're going to get is good value, generally good pace of play. And conditions at the most of the courses I play are good. So, yeah, if we were just going to start in Sacramento and kind of head south, Sac is a sneaky good golf town. I'm a huge fan of the golf community up there. It's got a lot of good public golf. It's got some good private golf if that's your thing. But just a kind of a golf craze community. Whether the Hagen Oaks, and we'll just start with Hagen Oaks. I mean, the Mackenzie course and the Arcade Creek course are the two 18-hole courses there. And obviously they have their massive driving range and superstore. So it's just like, if you're a golf nut, it's just a place you got to go check out if you're in Sacramento. Nice practice facility, big putting green, big chipping green. I don't know what the economics of those are, if you have to pay for the pitching green and the chipping green and all that kind of stuff. But Chris is shaking his head no, so it sounds like it's
no. So it's actually, all of that's free. And the great thing is they have 3 putting greens and 2 chipping greens out there. They have massive greens too. So a lot of open space out there. I organized a little meetup with a bunch of our guys from the Bay Area, and we did 36 out there. We started out at Arcade Creek and then played Mackenzie. It just started dumping on us on the first hole when we got over onto Mackenzie. And every single person on the property left. Like, the parking lot was absolutely empty. So when we got over to Mackenzie, we had nobody in front of us. And rain stopped about 45 minutes in. So we had literally the entire afternoon, the whole course to ourselves. And I think we had about 24 guys that went out there from the Bay Area. It was a big group of us. Played a fun little cash game out there, and it was a good time. But you're right, Hagen Oaks, facility wise, and when they have the demo days out there, I mean, it's the largest demo day in all of Northern California. That every single manufacturer in the entire world comes out to their demo day. They even have Mira come from Japan and go to their demo day. I mean, it's big time out there. So if you're ever
I think I heard a rumor that they're not doing it this year. Did I hear that rumor? Yeah.
That might, yeah. I mean, with COVID and stuff, it might be hard for them to get vendors.
Yeah, I think I saw that floating around, but I know that was a huge draw for them.
Yeah, and they used to turn Arcade Creek into a parking lot for that. That's how many people used to come out there. Yeah. Ashton's face.
It's a great facility. Yeah. It's a great facility. And my experience with the staff has always been really positive too. Really easy to work with, and
absolutely,
whether you're booking as a single or booking like 4 or 5 tee times, for a group outing, they've been really accommodating. So I'm a big fan of Hagen. Ansel Hoffman's another one. It's in Carmichael, which is just like 2 minutes outside of downtown Sac, but more of a kind of a parkland tree line. I guess more of a tougher challenge, a tougher test than Hagen. This is probably the championship golf course, public course in the Sac area. I know they host the Sac County Amateur and a couple other events. So, the Memorial Amateur as well. So again, really good staff, kind of just a good hang. You got your people out there hanging out, putting, chipping, getting ready to play. People that are just hanging out, having lunch. It's just kind of a really cool vibe. I know we're not saying vibe, right? Are we not doing vibe? We're not saying vibe. We're not saying gem, right? Is that our thing?
Gem is more of our
no hidden gems, no vibe
word. Right? Vibe's fine.
I think vibe, yeah. Every time I'll go to say vibe and I'll get all huffy, like Liz will go, it's a fine word. Like, this is a you problem.
Yeah. Ashton does cringe with the gem word though. He's not with that.
No, nobody loves Neil Schuster more than me. It's just like, everything can't be a vibe, Neil. Like, everything can't be a vibe. Like, because that means that
everything's a vibe. Is anything a vibe?
Right, nothing's a vibe. Right. So no, you can use it. Just it's like what's a season? Like hot sauce. You don't dump the whole bottle.
Moderation.
Put a little on.
Moderation is key.
There's a kid out.
That's probably good for life. That's a good little piece of life advice for all of us too. Moderation is key.
Speaking of Ansel, though, there's a kid out at Ansel Hoffman, sponsored by the Muni Kids out here in Portland. His name's Lando. Young kid, I think he's 11 or 12. He keep an eye out for the kid. If you're ever out there, you'll see him. He's decked out in Muni Kid stuff head to toe. This kid is going somewhere. He will be a D1 golfer. I mean, he travels across the country, just won a U.S. Kids Championship out at Pinehurst. Like, the kid is money. So shout out to Lando.
Well, Lando, that's like a highly marketable name. The kid's probably gonna have PIP deals here. He's gonna be rolling in the money.
You should see the swag. He wears an Anthony Kim belt buckle with his initials on it. Like, swaggiest little 11-year-old I've ever seen.
Saucy. We like.
You gotta have some game if you've got your initials on your belt buckle,
dude.
If I was his parents, I'd be like, let's wait till you like shoot 60 or something. I don't know.
I think his dad encourages it, but yeah. I think it's he's a whole vibe all on his own. We're gonna use that word now. So
vibe. Yeah,
don't play the 11-year-old at Ansel Hoffman on the putting green that's got a belt buckle with his initials. Don't play him for money, is what you're saying?
No, do not play him for money. He will take all of it.
Noted. Noted. And then real quick, just kind of getting out of Sacramento, a couple little. I'm a big fan of the short course, executive course, 9-hole sort of concept. Bing Maloney, which has an 18-hole course, also has a 9-hole express sort of. I think it's like a par 31. It's got a couple of par 4s, but all par 3s. So, just real quick, if you got an hour to spare and you got, I think, $11 in your pocket, you can go play the Bing Maloney Express 9. It's a great way to kill, like I said, 90 minutes. And then also William Land, which is in Sacramento, is a little 9-hole.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's fun. It's I played it a couple years ago and just really had a fun time. It's literally set. It feels like you're set in the middle of a park. It feels like, for those familiar with Winter Park in Orlando, it feels like a poor man's version of that a little bit. But again, really fun, like $15 to walk. So
it's super cool because people are walking their dogs around you. People are throwing balls, and there's just a golf course plopped in the middle of this park downtown Sacramento. And one of our really good friends, Kanan, he lives like 2 blocks from it. So he just grabs his sticks and walks over there and plays all the time. And it's something I think more metropolitan cities could utilize. You don't really have to, disengage from the park setting. Just include golf within a park. I mean,
and it doesn't have to be 9 holes. I mean, we're starting to, we've talked about this for a few years now, and I don't know how much we're starting to see of these sort of odd number or weird numbered concepts, whether they're 6 or 12, but it doesn't need to be 9 holes. It doesn't need to be 18 holes. It can be a 3-hole course in the middle of, a park. And obviously another good example would be Golden Gate Park golf course. It can work, and it can be part of, I guess, the larger community around you, right? I mean, when you're having sort of people walk, and I don't know, it's a cool, it's just a cool feeling out there to kind of be in the middle of the neighborhood is kind of what it feels like.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Ashton actually gave me a little insight on Golden Gate Park, which saddened me a little bit. That Golden Gate Park, I guess, was just purchased. And they're going to.
I don't know about purchased,
but
it was just probably the same tip that you saw, Patty. Like that, there was a rumor mill that it's going to turn into something that's a lot more like the Hay than it is right now.
And that was you mentioned that. I know a few podcasts back. That was the first I had heard of that. Which, great, cool. I mean, like you said, I hope they don't, gouge the prices. I mean, it is what it is right now, and I think it's perfect what it is. Speaking of Golden Gate, talking about Golden Gate Park, we are. I don't. But if they want to make it into something that Gil Hanse is going to come in and make it cool, hey, have at it. Whatever. I'm happy with it.
I'm just hoping
really
that
So.
Yeah. I would like to not see it touched, but because it is great for what it is now, but I guess there is room for something like that in the city. I hope they're not going to gouge people. I hope it's not $90
Well,
or
let's just meet in the
$70 like
middle,
the
right?
hay to
Like,
go play.
yeah, could you like tweak it and raise the price by $10? Like, sure. I mean, there's definitely times you go out there where it's like, it's not perfect, but like, yeah, finding a middle ground in between, $65 for an adult would be great. But I will say, I actually went down and hung out. We didn't play the hay, but last week we were down in Monterey. We just kind of actually hung out there a little bit in the putting course. It's pretty cool. Like, I mean,
really cool.
It's like because I kind of drove by, shot it when I walked by. I was like, I look up there, it's $65, and we actually kind of went by the grill and went to the putting course, and I was like, we need more of this, whatever this is. I wish it wasn't $65, but also it's like $5 for kids, or it's free for kids. Like, we need more of this. It doesn't take up a bunch of land. A little too expensive, but we need more of the hay.
I guess the price point fits for Monterey. That's the one thing
And
I
Tiger.
could say, and Tiger design, kind of the story behind it. But yeah, I for us as public golfers, $70 to play short course is a little like, oof.
Well, and I think just to kind of tie it all back to what we're talking about here tonight is, we're tossing around $60, $65, $70 right now for the hay, or what Golden Gate Park might be someday. And it's like, I'm telling you guys about some of these valley courses, these that are $15, $20, $25, that look, are they going to bring just fire all your senses when it comes to the golf architecture stuff? No, but it's like I said, you're going to get good pace play and probably good conditioning. And that's where you're going to find, I think that's where you're going to find the enjoyment out of playing Central Valley golf is kind of that value. It's just going to have a different feel to it. It's going to be a little slower pace, less rushed probably than what you're going to feel in the Bay Area. People just sort of kind of, things move a little slower over here in the Valley. So,
well, Patty, as someone who's not from here, I'm curious, like, is it just like I don't even know, like, is cost of living cheaper in Modesto than in other parts of the Bay Area? Like, why is it $20 to?
Yeah. So, I mean, the Central Valley, I mean, what we do here, you guys, is we grow all the food, right? We got all the nuts and all the ag. We got a ton of ag. And so, we have a lot of, the land is just very flat. It's just a very flat, when it comes to topography, it's just a very flat, strip of 600 miles, basically. When it comes to the cost of living, cost of living is cheaper here for a lot of reasons. We don't need to go into all of them here, but we just have a lot of commuters. We have a lot of people that, get up at 4 a.m. and hop in the car and drive 2 hours to the city and then do it again the next day. And I don't know how they do it, but that's a lot of what our workforce is. We have a lot of people in the ag industry that work here. Gallo Winery is in Modesto. That's a kind of a big employer of where I'm from. So, why is the golf cheaper? I mean, I think just the economics of it. The land is cheaper. Whether these golf operations own or lease, where they're at, it's just going to be a cheaper level than what's going on in the Bay Area. They don't need to charge as much. It's kind of simple economics, and it's always been that way. It's sort of, Sacramento's always been a little, when it comes to home prices and just everything else, Sac's a little higher than Modesto, Fresno, Bakersfield are all sort of similar. Stockton, Modesto, Fresno, Bakersfield. I don't know if that answered your question at all, Ashton, but yes, everything is cheaper here. I mean, it's just it's funny. I mean, it's almost a different world when you kind of get over the Altamont and come over here. I remember, I don't know if this is like an indictment on my hometown or whatever, but I remember this would have been May of 2020. So, I mean, COVID's kind of still a thing, still kind of a new thing. And there was a big amateur tournament we had in Modesto at Del Rio Golf Club. And I had some buddies from the Bay Area that came over, and they were like, people are shaking people's hands over here. And like, it was a different, like, it's a different vibe. It's a different speed. It's a different, I don't know how to explain it. I've sort of grown to appreciate it as I've gotten older. When I was in my 20s, I was like, I'm going to live in San Francisco. I want to live in the city. I want to live where it's all happening. And I still love San Francisco. It's the best, and I still love visiting, but I like living where I live. I like kind of the slower pace. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I mean, it's so weird for me because, like I've said, I've been validated by the Tron and Neil is like the public golf scene in Atlanta is virtually non-existent, and then coming out here, I think the public golf scene is great, but it's just you get really used to. Okay, it's going to be $87 to play Moffitt. It's going to be like it's a higher price point, which is okay, but it is funny how you start to have 5, 6, 7 rounds a month. You're like, I've spent a lot of money on tee times, but then when I hear about $15-$20, like, shit, that'd be a nice little reprieve, when Presidio is charging locals $95 on the weekend. Great course, not cheap. So I'm just used to paying a very, I obviously live in the city. When I hear $15-$20, I just like to be like, okay, like, I think I know why, but let's make sure I can compartmentalize like why a tee time is $15 because I'm just not used to that.
And I think another thing Ashton speaks on all the time too is living in the city, other than Presidio for him, trying to actually get out and play a golf course is a fucking disaster. Like, it's just trying to get anywhere in the city. It takes, the city's only 5 miles long. Like, it's not huge, or 7. Okay. 7 miles long, but it'll take you an hour and a half to go from one end to the other some days. And it's just a shit show on that aspect. And I think Portland for me is kind of the middle ground between the Central Valley and the Bay Area, where we have those courses like Pumpkin Ridge and Langdon Farms and stuff like that are $100 to play, that are premier golf courses, fantastic venues. But then I've got Rose City, where I can go play today. If I wanted to go play Rose City, it was $23. If I want to go play Eastmoreland today, it was $19.50 to go play Eastmoreland walking. And it's just, and those are awesome courses. Yeah, they're not the most spectacular designs, but they give you the great value, good conditions, good rolling greens for what the price you're paying. So, and that's kind of the middle ground we have here in Portland. So I get a little bit of both.
When I say the Central Valley tried to do the upscale daily fee thing. We tried to do that in the last 20 years with Stevenson Ranch and Diablo Grande. And Ashton, those names probably don't mean anything to you. I don't know, Chris, if they mean anything to you, but
I've heard Diablo Grande.
Yeah. So we'll start with Stevenson Ranch. Stevenson Ranch was my home golf course in college, and it's just outside of Turlock, which is on Highway 99. So it's kind of, we'll call it in between Stockton and Fresno. It's kind of out in the country. And, a guy named George Kelly had some family land and hired John Harbottle, and they built a great links golf course. It was a true links golf course, and it was great. It was great. I took it for granted. I played out there 2 days a week for 3 years, and used to hate the 25-minute drive. But looking back on it, totally took it for granted. It was such a good golf course. It was such a good test. They used to have U.S. Open qualifiers there. They used to have all kinds of big events there, college event. The University of Colorado would have their home tournament because there would be snow on the ground in Boulder. They would have their home golf tournament in the spring at Stevenson Ranch. So you had all these great players, and the economics just didn't work. And then 2008 happened, and they never really recovered from that. And the owner, George, figured out he could develop that land into almonds and walnuts and make a lot more money doing that. So literally plowed under, and it went away. And it was really kind of a sad deal. That was 2000 and 2015. If anybody wants to Google Stevenson Ranch Golf Course closing or something like that, there's a couple articles on it. Just down the road in Patterson was Diablo Grande, which was a 36-hole facility. First golf course there was the Ranch Course, which was designed by Gene Sarazen, and that was opened in like 97. I remember my freshman year of high school, we used to play there. It was like the hardest golf course I'd ever seen. But kind of grew into itself and tamed out a little bit over the years, became a more fair test. And in the meantime, another course right next door, the Legends course, was built on the property. That was designed by Jack Nicklaus. So you had this great, beautiful 36-hole facility, kind of right in between the Central Valley and San Jose, and you could supposedly easy to get there for the San Jose people, and homes were built, and kind of a community was planned, and beautiful clubhouse with cottages, and that stuff was all there, and it just couldn't make it work. So that all closed down like 2 years ago. There are rumors going around that somebody else bought it and maybe looking to reopen it, but probably our two best public options in the Central Valley over the last quarter century were Stevenson Ranch and then the 36-hole facility at Diablo Grande. And yeah, it's just sad that they're not around anymore. But I don't know if people just aren't willing to pay, that $70-$80 to play golf here in the Central Valley. That's probably it. That's probably it.
Paddy, do you consider Saddle Creek and Greenhorn Central Valley?
Yeah. Sure.
Because they're kind of leaning into that same scenario that those two golf courses are. They've been really struggling the last few years. And I think with COVID and them being further out, they were able to capitalize on that. And I think a lot of the Central Valley courses during COVID really capitalized on all of the Bay Area guys driving over and playing those courses. Because I know myself, I played a lot of Bing Maloney and Ansel Hoffman and Saddle Creek and Tracy Country Club when I was, when COVID was, rampant in the Bay Area, but they were still allowed. The only place in California that still allowed golf courses to stay open through the entire, part of COVID was the Central Valley. The SoCal, most of LA, San Diego, and all of the Bay Area all shut down completely for, a good 2 to 3 months.
I remember one of my first, it was like probably March of 2020, one of my first sort of golf games with some buddies after kind of the whole COVID thing had started was, I had 2 or 3 buddies from the Cal Club in San Francisco. They were like, can we come play somewhere? And we met up at Bing Maloney. I mean, these guys from arguably the best club in San Francisco, eagerly driving into Sacramento to play Bing Maloney. And we're thrilled to do it. It was crazy times, and also it's golf, right? I mean, isn't that the beauty of public golf? It's like, well, my club that's really nice, I can't play right now. It stinks, but I gotta scratch this itch and I gotta go somewhere. And I'm driving 2.5 hours to play Bing Maloney in March. It was like 50 degrees and soupy and we had a great day. Yeah.
Does anybody call Bing Maloney baloney? Every time you guys say that, I want to mash it together.
It's like your Cinnabon. It's like your Cinnabar Hills thing.
Oh God! Every time I think of Cinnabar Hills, I'm just like,
Jesus.
Yeah, Ashton, I don't know.
That's a great.
I don't know if you ever got to play Sky West in, out in like the San Ramon area. But Bing Maloney is basically Sacramento's Sky West. It's built right next to a municipal airport. And there's 3 holes on the course. Right when you drive in, you can see them, where they have to have these light post stands in the middle of the course so that the planes don't land on the golf course. That's how close they get to flying over you to land their planes. It's
Sky West is an elite golf course name. That's super cool. I like
not
that
an
a
elite
lot.
golf course, I will tell you that. The name was better than the course portrayed, but unfortunately, that was our home course for all my high school teams, and they shut it down to develop houses. So they shut it down early 2021 was the closure. So December 2020 was the last month that they were open ever. So, but yeah, Bing Maloney is got a big piece of my heart because living out in Roseville for a long time, I played a lot of Sacramento golf.
You mean a big piece of baloney? That's how I heard it.
Oh my God.
I'm going to shut up. I'm sorry.
I would be remiss if I did not shout out my home golf course in Modesto, Dryden Park Golf Course. If anybody is, listen, I'm not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes here. Do not drive like any distance to come make a trip into Modesto to play Dryden. But if you are driving down 99, or if you are in Modesto, or if you are in the area, look me up and let's play. I love my golf course. It's a typical Muni public 18 holes, 6,600 yard track. That's just got really good greens most of the time. Obviously, when they're punched, they're not, but when they're heeled up, they are awesome. I don't know if the green staff means to do this or not, but we have really nice, tight Bermuda, this time of year, and it's really course plays firm and fast. It's just a real fun place to come. Got a great group of guys that I play with. They kind of everyone's got their group of guys at their golf course, but kind of a close-knit group of guys, kind of got our skins game. And so, yeah, anybody's ever in Modesto, look me up. We'll go play Dryden. We'll have a big money.
Paddy, how much golf do you play, Paddy? I'm just curious.
I play around a week. I play once a week. But I try to chip and putt, practice, try to get some efficient short game practice in at least once or twice a week. So I'll do short game Sundays where I'll just chip and putt for an hour and a half and work on that. But yeah, I mean, if once a week is, that's not even accurate because if you look at how many rounds, it probably, we'll call it twice a month. That's probably more fair.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say more.
No. So I'm trying to play less. I'm trying to play a fewer amount of rounds with higher quality. Trying to check off the bucket list. Of course, just listening to this podcast. You guys have talked about a lot of golf courses that I have not played in Northern California within 2 hours of my house, and it's well, yeah, I got to go play Timber Creek. I'd never heard of Timber Creek. I've never heard of it. And it's okay, well, I got to add that to the list now. And
I saw today you said Eagle Vines. I've never played there. We should go play Eagle Vines.
Eagle Vines. That's another one that's been on my list. So,
right next to Chardonnay.
Yeah, I love playing new places. I love playing, like I said, 9-hole little mom and pop places. I like going on little adventures, and so yeah, any course that I have not played, I'm trying to check the list off.
Yeah.
Have you played? You played Whitney Oaks, Paddy?
No.
When you go up to play Timber, try to make it to where you can get 36 in if you can, or make 2 trips up there. But Whitney Oaks is one of the most unique courses you'll ever play. It's in Roseville.
Is that a Johnny Miller design?
Yeah, Johnny Miller design. It's now owned by the Indian Casino that's in Lincoln. But it went through kind of a weird phase where it went really downhill. It was supposed to be a country club. They couldn't sell houses around it because they built it in the worst time. They built it in early 2000s, and 2006, 2008 happened, and they just couldn't get the house developments finished out there. So the country club thing never happened, but it stayed public. It might be one of the most challenging courses I've played in the Sacramento area, and it's definitely worth going out there.
Yeah, I mean, you said unique, and that's why I guessed Johnny Miller. I don't know why my mind went to that, but I mean, okay. I that's a blind spot for me. Literally never heard of it. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's built on, so Rockland, the name of the city, rocks. Basically the entire city is just, it's a reason why they have so much tough time building things in Rockland and Roseville, because it's all on this really like large rock formation, so they can't dig very much. So they left all of the rock formations throughout the entire golf course. So there's dogleg lefts and rights where you're hitting over these giant rock formations, and there's these like greens that are just like backed up to surrounding by these rock formations. It's
Fun.
really, really cool. And I mean, something you'll probably never play. There's a few too many houses on the golf course than I would particularly like, but you know, it's a great course, and you haven't played it, you gotta play that place.
I was talking about Stevenson Ranch and Diablo, these courses that have shut down. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this other one, and people can again Google this for a deeper dive and some pictures for context. But there was a golf course about a decade ago, just east of Stockton, called Trinitas, Trinitas. And basically, the short story was like this guy bought all this land and is like built the golf course with like just this guy built the golf course with a backhoe, didn't get any permits or anything. Took out a bunch of loans to finance this project, with the end goal being that he was going to build some hotels and some condos around it and refinance it and pay everything off, and he was going to get rich on this. Well, the local politicians were mad at him that he didn't go through the right permit process initially, and basically killed the project, and he couldn't get refinanced and lost the land. And I don't know where the guy is now, but it's kind of this, you guys gotta Google this. This golf course was, I mean, local players still talk about this. It was kind of built for scratch players. That's the only way I could describe it. It was built for it's a really, really, really difficult golf course. It was built for like the championship golfer, and they had greens that rolled at 13 every day. It was in pristine shape, and this guy did it all by himself. It's a wild story. Again, it's called Trinitas Golf Course. Give it a Google. But
that's awesome.
Another one that just sort of like kind of sad, like what might have been kind of a thing, you know.
Maybe it's what Big J was following with the TPC network. He's like, we got to follow the Trinitas, you know. Got to build the moat. Similar idea.
Yes,
that's an incredible.
That kind of gives me Roddy Ranch vibes. I don't know if you ever got to play Roddy Ranch out.
Played it once, long time ago.
Kind of a similar thing, you know, a guy, you know, quick, you know, trying to get rich scheme kind of thing, but ended up developing a wonderful golf course. And it was probably outside of Carica, closest you're going to get to probably link style courses in the Bay, you know, in the Bay Area. And it's sad now Roddy Ranch no longer exists. It was probably the most premier course in the Antioch area.
Yeah.
Crazy. Patty, any other courses to share?
Yeah, well, yeah, not really. I mean, Chris, you talked about Dragonfly, I know, in a recent pod, and that's kind of the one in the Fresno area I wanted to highlight. Fresno had a really
thick boy tees.
What's that?
The thick boy tees.
Yeah, thick boy Bryson tees.
Your boy Patty's not playing the thick boy tees. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you that.
I wish they didn't even put him out there because when I went out and played, there was like a bachelor party that was in front of us, and it was just me and my wife.
Scene.
She was just in the cart reading a book while I was playing. And these guys, you know, they're big dick Larrys over there. Were basically just like, oh, let's hit from the Bryson tees. And, you know, on one of the holes out there, I think it's 14. It's one on the back, but it's 730 yards, par 5. And these guys are hitting from the fucking Bryson tees. And I'm like, we're going to sit here for 45 minutes so they could finish this hole. Like, I love Dragonfly was a great course. It was in wonderful shape, and I actually really loved the layout of it. But goddamn, don't put those out there unless you're holding the U.S. qualifier or something like that.
Well, I mean,
Because
I think the Fresno State team plays out there. I mean, those are clearly built for like college. Those are only built for college kids. That's the only reason those are out there. I mean, and I guess Bryson, but I mean, college kids realistically are the only ones hitting it sort of that far. I guess that's why they have them out there. I don't know. Don't even look at them, folks. Don't even look at them.
No, if you ever go to Dragonfly, don't even try to find the Bryson tees. It's not worth it.
Yeah, but in Fresno, that's kind of the one I had. They got a bunch of sort of valley style cheap muni golf in Fresno that's decent, but Dragonfly is the best. And then anything south of that, it's kind of a blind spot. I know Ridge Creek and Danuba is supposed to be pretty good, sort of between Fresno and Bakersfield. And then there's a couple of good ones in Bakersfield too. But like I said, a little bit of a blind spot, so I don't have much to speak on that.
Cool. Well, to get us out of here, Paddy, this has nothing to do with the Central Valley, but tell us about your experience at Pine Valley. total turn to the right.
Also,
I'd love to hear.
Patty,
isn't this a public golf podcast?
Pine Valley is an exception.
We only talk about public golf because we never play any private golf courses. But guests can talk about it. We can't and don't because we don't ever play private golf.
Never play private. Wink, wink.
Ever. Never.
Ever. No, never. No, nobody ever invites us. I'm not
even this week.
I'm not going. Yeah. I'm not going out to Rock Creek to play with Akbar from Seamus this Sunday or anything.
Oh, what a boo. Boo. That was scummy.
little thirsty.
Pine Valley. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the pod, my dad's sort of had a long, accomplished amateur career, and he's been lucky enough to win a lot of events and been invited to a lot of events over the years on the amateur circuit. And one of those events is the Crump Cup at Pine Valley. And the Crump Cup is a mid-amateur and over, so 25 and over. They have a mid-amateur division and then a senior division. And it's invite only, and it's every September at Pine Valley. And my dad's been invited for probably the last decade or so. He's had some success on the national level in some events and got an invite, and he played well his first year at the Crump Cup and got invited back sort of every year since. So 2000 and I guess it would have been 2018. So 4 years ago, he was playing in the Crump Cup in September and said, "Do you want to go back with me a couple days early and play Pine Valley with me and his friend Bob, who was a member at Pine Valley? He was a family friend of ours." And we played Pine Valley 2 days, played it twice, a couple days before the Crump Cup. And once the tournament started, I got on a flight and came back to California. But yeah, it was awesome. It was something that we had on the calendar kind of all year and to look forward to all year. And I was so excited, obviously Pine Valley being, as highly acclaimed as it is. And I tried not to read too much on it. And I tried not to look at too many pictures because I didn't want to like spoil everything. It's like people going to Bandon, right? You don't want to listen and read everything before going to Bandon. So like I tried to, I tried to contain my excitement and naturally a week before the trip, back east to Philadelphia, we looked at the forecast and it was like thunderstorms and lightning storms, and then didn't look like we were going to get to play and literally almost canceled the flight. And I told my dad, I said, well, let's just go back there. What's the worst going to happen? We sit in our hotel room because it's raining and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we got back there and, we didn't see one raindrop for 2 days and played Pine Valley under awesome conditions. And it was, it's a great, I mean, what can you say? It's a really cool experience. It's a really good test of golf. It's a golfer's, there's no pool, there's no tennis courts. You're there to play golf, and you're there to play good golf or, try your best and get it around. But yeah, it's just, I didn't get the snooty vibes from it. I didn't get the felt intimidated by it vibes at all. It was very, let's just nerd out on golf and look at a bunch of golf history for 2 days and talk about golf architecture and play, arguably the best golf course in the world twice. And it was cool. And to get to do it with my dad was awesome. And I hope I get to go back someday.
This is a totally unfair question, but like, what makes the golf course so special? Because like I think to me it's like sort of like Augusta feels special because we see it on TV, right? And it's the opulence and it's kind of the stadium feel without being a stadium feel. And like Cypress to me is special because it's like on the Pacific Ocean and Alistair McKenzie touched it. Like I've never really been able to grasp from what I've read and listened, like what makes Pine Valley like so elite? And that's not like a fair question to ask you, but having played there twice, like what is the essence of like why this place is so special?
So I think, you hear Andy Johnson talk about like Shinnecock or, you talk about the Augustas or the Cypresses that you can get it around those golf courses, right? I mean, you can be a 20 handicapper, you can be an 80-year-old lady, you can be whatever. You can generally get it around those golf courses. You at Pine Valley, I mean, you have to hit carries and you have to hit golf shots and you literally, they don't say this. I don't think they say this. This is not an explicit rule, but I mean, you kind of got to be a single digit to play there. I mean, and so there's a little bit of a low cap privilege, right, that goes along with playing Pine Valley. And along with that is the guys that do get to play Pine Valley, I think generally walk off thinking, well, that's a big boy golf course and I'm a big boy and I got to play it. And so you sort of have this, there's only a certain amount of golfers that can play this golf course. And I'm one of those kind of a feeling that you might have walking off Pine Valley that you might not have walking off of Cypress or Shinnecock or some of these others that the architecture lends it to the ground game. It lends it to any style being able to get it around where it's like, if you don't do that at Pine Valley, you're going to shoot 105. You're going to make like 12s on holes. Like you're just going to hit it in places that you literally cannot escape from. They don't rake the bunkers. There's no rakes in the bunkers. And so some of these bunkers that are penal as it is, you get in a footprint or something and it's like, you're done. And so I think if you shoot a decent round, there's a certain sense of pride that like, I just played a good round at Pine Valley where you might not have that at the other courses. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. That's kind of my off the cuff answer to that.
Wow. So they were I personally, I don't know what y'all think, but I think that, I guess it's hard in like public courses, but I think that in a course that's generally well kept, I sort of like the idea of treating bunkers as hazards like that. I think most public courses, that's how they are anyway, because there's no sand or anything.
It would cut costs for a lot of public courses if they treated their bunkers more like hazards instead of sending their grounds crews out to spend hours every morning raking and maintaining the bunkers like that. If you turn them into hazards, we just played Sheep Ranch, me and Ashton, in June, and there's not a bunker on the entire course. They're just these tufts that have these deep, fescue in them.
They're basically bunkers that aren't dug out.
Yeah, they're built bunkers. They just didn't put sand in them. That's how they kind of feel. And then they just let them overgrow. And I think a lot of public courses could take note from that and cut a lot of costs on that. And then also, I think the one hang up in golf is, and I've played as a single a lot and with random strangers, and you'll hear a guy swearing from the other side of the fucking green because he's like, this fucker didn't rake the green. He's a fucking footprint in here. I'm like, dude, that's what a bunker is. It's a fucking hazard. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's actually how they should play. Like, you go back to a lot of courses in Europe, they don't fucking maintain that shit. It's natural.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at Pine Valley they would rake it like twice a week or something like that. So it wasn't a total disaster, but it was like if you got it on like that second or third day, you could. It was tough, but special
No, but
place.
that's interesting.
Special place.
To your point, the sense of pride and accomplishment. That's interesting because I mean, again, I wouldn't say that I've seen like flyovers and stuff, but I think that something like an Augusta or a Cypress, like it clearly punches you in the mouth of like, wow, like look at the vistas and views. And I just, this is me gonna, I'm a kid from Atlanta. I do not like Philadelphia. I hate the Phillies. Part of me is like, yeah, it's fucking Philadelphia, like private club. Like, what is this shit? And then it's kind of like, oh, everyone who goes there is like, wow. And like, it's not that I'm shitting on Pine Valley. It's just like desperately trying to understand what makes this place number one every single
Yeah, I mean,
That's
the golf
super cool.
holes. I mean, if you just, I'm not getting into this because I know we're wrapping up, but the golf architecture and the hole designs are outstanding. I mean, they really are outstanding. I mean, they're so fun. They're challenging, but they're fair. The fairways are wider than they look. Like you're sitting on these tee boxes, and you're like, my God, where do I hit this? And then you get up to the fairway that's 50 yards wide. And you're like, oh, okay, now I see. And, you never see another. You literally never see another. When you stand on one hole, you can't see another hole from it. That's just a really cool vibe. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. You go to Pine Valley and you're playing a game and you're hitting cups. And I don't know if you're doing that
It's awesome.
at Cypress or Augusta when you got the camera out and you're looking around and doing all that. So,
yeah.
All right, Patty.
That's awesome.
Last thing before we let you go. Your favorite public golf course that you've played in your life?
in the States or ever?
Anywhere that's publicly accessible.
It's Royal County Down. Yeah.
That might be one of our best.
I know that's skirting the fine line of public accessibility, but I know we've talked about it, or anybody's talked about, when you go to Ireland and Scotland, if you have a credit card, you can play. And yeah, went to Ireland and Scotland with my old man and a couple other buddies a few years ago. And we did Northern Ireland and Scotland, and County Down was the cream of the crop. Although, I think if I would have had better weather and a little better experience, the old course at St. Andrews might be up at number one. But I think I got to tackle that in some better, more fair weather. But yeah, Royal County Down's at the top of my list for public accessibility golf course that I played.
What an answer!
That's fair.
Love it.
It's a good one. You guys should check it out if you're ever over there.
That's our goal in the next few years to have a little.
I think in the next couple of years. Next year we're doing a full blown Bandon trip. The whole enchilada. I only planned it 14 months in advance, and the lady acted like she's like on those dates. There's only one Sheep Ranch Tea Time available. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's 14 months in advance. So hopefully maybe 2023 we'll look for kind of a full-blown Ireland trip.
Well, your boy here is going to Bandon for his very first time this November, and I cannot wait. So,
wow. We can't wait to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
We've only played Sheep and OG Bandon, but like it wet the whistle in like a tantalizing way, right? It was like you walk off and it's like, but what about Bandon Trails? What about Pack Dunes? What about Old Mac? We also got absolutely hammered the night before we played. I woke up and thought I lost my wallet. It was a tough. You get the double transfusions going on the Himalaya practice green. Don't do that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. It was great the night of, bad the next morning.
Yeah, we'll just say don't go party with Andre and Paulo from Coos Golf Club.
Coos.
They'll get you a little tossed up.
Actually, or do.
Yeah.
I'm old.
You have 36
I'm old. My partying days are done. I'm the guy that goes to bed at 8. I'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at Bandon every day.
Yeah, well, I see somebody on Instagram sometimes, like 4:30 in the morning, like out scouting courses. I'm like, this motherfucker.
Yeah,
like,
I'm an early riser.
4 a.m.
You always see where would you rather play, like first off or twilight golf or whatever. Like, I'd rather be first off early in the morning.
I'm the same as you. I think Ashton's a twilight guy, and I'm definitely I would rather be the first tee time off any course and be able to kind of get that.
Except for when I've played enough golf with Chris, that when it's a big day, he gets too excited at night and he doesn't sleep. So there's multiple times where he's come out and he's like, hey man, I only got like 2 hours of sleep. And, I was asking Maggie to like rub my head, and I'm like, this isn't my problem. Like, I love you, but like, then like at the second 18, he's like, dragging, I need a hot dog, I need a yerba mate tea, I need some dip, I need a soda. I'm like, come on, Chris, let's get your big ass back in the car.
Is this the latest the words hot dog have ever been mentioned on this podcast? We're an hour and 13 minutes. Is this the longest it's ever taken to get the hot dog?
It might be.
What's your take on hot dogs?
How does Dryden Park hot dogs?
Oh, boys, we've got a tough scene. Got a tough scene in the food and bev department out of Dryden. Our clubhouse burned down 18 months ago, and it's
oh no.
It looks exactly.
You an Oakland Hills situation?
Tough scene. Yeah, we very healthy selection of Cliff bars and back nine and front nine bars in our portable trailer clubhouse, but we do not have a steamer. We got no grill. We got no hot dogs. We got no hamburgers. Our pets' heads are falling off. It's not a good scene here at Dryden Park in the food and bev department.
Man, we need to get them on Amazon. Order one of those hot dog rotisseries for Dryden Park.
I'm on it.
Well, Chris is easy. He likes fucking ketchup and relish.
Yeah, that's what I like. Yeah, we'll have Chris and I'll have a hot dog.
Okay, then you guys can be the hot dog.
I knew I liked Patty. There we go.
That's what they're gonna call us, Chris, Patty, the hot dog boys.
Hot dog boys.
Well, Patty, it's 9:18, which if you wake up at 4 a.m., it must be almost bedtime for you. So we appreciate you staying up late with us.
I've never been up this late, boys. Thanks. It's been a delight.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
buddy.
Patty.
Take care.